a.k.a. Best Bail Bonds. Big game coverage live from Las Vegas. Powered by Southern Recipe Small Batch Pork Rinds, Synergenics, and 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
Hey, it is Huddle Up. It is time for the Morning Huddle. We promised him to you. He is coming. That's RJ Ochoa. I am Rob Thompson. You are on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. Mike McCarthy with us with Front Office Sports sitting down with us. If you aren't aware of what Front Office Sports is, it is kind of the business side of sports. And it is a must-read for everybody in my line of work every morning. It is the first email I open up every morning. Mike.
Thank you so much, Rob. It
is really kind of part and parcel to what we're doing. And as you come as a senior reporter there, tell me about the business of not NFL, but the Super Bowl.
Well, the Super Bowl is annually the most watched TV event of the year. Last year it set a record with 115.1 million viewers. And what it is, it's really the last thing that we all share together. Everybody is fragmented in culture, but Super Bowl Sunday, everybody sits down to watch the game, and Super Bowl Sunday, everybody watches the commercials.
And as that has becoming, what I'm getting at is the commercials seem to be fading. And we know what the Super Bowl is and what the NFL is. Why does the league feel like we're going to have to start paying for games after they? I mean, why are we having to go through? I feel like it's coming quicker than we expect.
I am so against this, Rob. You got to dance with the girl you brung. The NFL has based its popularity on decades of free, over-the-air TV. They were the only ones, Rob, that didn't go to cable, that didn't put their games behind a paywall. And you know what? It worked. They blew past Major League Baseball. They blew past boxing. They blew past horse racing, and they became the number one sports. Now they're going to put games behind a paywall? I think when they put that game behind the Peacock paywall, I think they were crossing a Rubicon. I think within 10 years we're going to see a pay-per-view Super Bowl or at least a pay Super Bowl behind a streaming platform.
So my question, this whole Peacock fiasco has sort of been there seems to be, like, Amazon has had Thursday Night Football for 2 years, and nobody cared about that. I mean, it's a streaming service. I mean, I know that they're locally streamed or locally available in the markets where the games are taking place, but, like, that's an entire package of games that is, and nobody offers any opinion on that.
Yeah, it's incremental, RJ. Mm-hmm. That's how they get you. They do it step by step by step. I think Amazon is a little bit different because Amazon literally has 300 million Amazon Prime customers around the world, and 150 million in the so people like me, we just take Amazon for granted. But here's the next step. Thursday Night Football is the worst game of the week.
Sure.
The worst package.
As opposed to a playoff game.
Yeah.
Right.
Now you put a Chiefs game behind a paywall. Patrick Mahomes, the defending Super Bowl champions. That's totally different.
They were on the first Amazon game. The very first one was the Chiefs, and although they weren't defending champions at the time, to your point. That's so interesting. And you mentioned baseball, and obviously other sports. We're San Antonio, so we're Bally, Amazon Prime. There's the whole situation.
The RSN.
Do you think? I know we're here to talk football, but out of curiosity, do you think we are headed towards a world where, hey, Mike, you're a Knicks fan, you could buy your Knicks package, and that's it. With this app, whatever it is, whether it's Amazon Prime or Bally or whatever the case may be, like, is that a future in our sights?
I really believe that, RJ. I think these streamers are going to cut out the middlemen, and the middlemen are the regional sports networks and the diamond sports groups and all these bankrupt companies, and you're going to get it directly through them. The future is personalization. You want to get the Lakers game.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't want the whole package. I just want to see the Knicks and the Lakers. You'll be able to buy that. And, is it a good thing for the consumer? Look, choice is always good. But I know, because I cover this business, that I'm paying twice as much than I used to for my old cable bundle. I got so many streaming services now, I don't even know what to do with it. My wife wants this one for the Hunger Games. My daughter wants this one for Disney. My son wants HBO Max. You know what I mean? I have to have each. I'm paying 2 or 3 times what I used to pay for my cable bundle.
Right.
We're looking for your insight on a lot of different things. And forgive us for bouncing around on subject. We're joined by Mike McCarthy. He's a senior reporter for Front Office Sports. Over the last couple of days, the announcement from FIFA about who's going to be hosting the games. Jerry Jones thought Jerry would host the championship game. It's going to end up in New York. But what I thought was interesting coming out of this was the stadiums themselves are going to lose that sponsorship side of things to FIFA. So not AT&T Stadium, but Dallas Stadium, and not up in East Rutherford, New York Stadium. What's the business process behind that, and how do you get AT&T off the side of the building during this week of the biggest thing that stadium's ever hosted? hosted at a FIFA game.
Well, FIFA is almost a racket. I mean, they are, you know what I mean, the most stringent when it comes to rights fees, royalties, sponsorships. I've never seen anything like it. I don't know if you guys have ever gone overseas to cover an Olympic game. They control everything. They make this look like chaos, like anarchy. So I don't. It doesn't surprise me. I personally don't think, and this is coming as a New Yorker, I personally don't think MetLife is a good site. I think it's a lousy stadium. I think it was the worst $2 billion ever spent. I think it's a dump. And I would have preferred to have seen it at Jerry's World, quite frankly.
So, I mean, it's fascinating that they could just defy sponsorships, though. I mean, like that something like that could happen. And forgive me, but like I think a lot of has that happened in previous World Cups? Like, do they strip? Because I don't know that. Obviously, I'm not as intimately aware of with other nations, other
how
venues.
they name their stadiums.
And they build stadiums for World Cups, so maybe that's the workaround that they kind of usually prefer.
There's nothing more powerful in sports globally than the 5 rings. They can do whatever they want. I'll give you a perfect example. I did a story about snowboarder Giulia Marino, who had a sponsorship from Prada, the Italian fashion thing. Now, Prada was an official sponsor. They made her rub over the Prada name on her snowboard with a magic marker so it couldn't be seen. And it led to an injury because, these things are so finely tuned.
Right.
It slowed down a board. She had to withdraw from the Olympics. But that's all they care about.
That is unbelievable. As we come into an Olympic year, it does kind of signify where we're headed with the dollar amount. Yeah. And as we're talking about international sports, and the Olympics coming up this summer, the NFL spreading to South America and heading into Europe, more into Germany. Are we looking at an international arms race between the Premier League soccer and the NFL as a chase to conquer what's left of the sporting universe?
I really think we are. I mean, the NFL hates to fail. And the only place the NFL has ever failed is internationally. You remember 20 years ago, the NFL Europe and all that, it went bust? I think in 5 years you're going to see an NFL Europe division. You're going to see teams in London, Frankfurt, Munich. I think they're going to get their own TV package, which the NFL is going to sell, because the NFL always figures out another way to make money. You're going to see teams in Mexico City. I really think that their total focus now is international expansion, not domestic, especially because LA has been filled with 2 teams.
So I have a different. Again, Rob, apologize. All over the map.
Scattered.
These are fascinating questions that most people can't answer except for you. Maybe this is a little bit outside of the proper wheelhouse, but NFL Plus, the NFL streaming service, seems like a bit of a not overwhelming success, to be kind. It's supposed to offer NFL Game Pass, which historically has been really poor. As an example, Major League Baseball's, Game, I don't forget the exact name, MLB TV or whatever it is. That is an amazing service. I mean, like the way you can search plays and things like that, all from within their app, is so highly functional. And I think people look at the NFL as this multi-billion-dollar entity. NFL now failed, and now they're trying NFL Plus. Like, why can't they get this right? I mean, it's just technology at this point in time.
That's an amazing question, and I've asked it myself. I think after a while you start banging your head against the door and you give up. And that's where I think these NFL ESPN talks are coming in, Rob. ESPN is talking about selling part of its, or I should say the Walt Disney Company is thinking about selling an equity stake in ESPN to the NFL. If that happens, then ESPN and the NFL will start working together on the networks, on the apps, and there's nobody better to work with, as we all know in that situation, than ESPN. So problem solved.
How is that possible? Like, and how does that become like? Are there channels? Channels feels like a loose way to put it, but like, are their talent the same? Are they coworkers? I always find that interesting. I think it was might have been the Munich game that Rich Eisen and Dan Orlovsky did together. So it's like, how do you just justify and that's cool, but like they don't work for the same company, to my knowledge.
Yeah, I've got 3 words: conflict of interest. How is the ESPN, the Adam Schefters, going to cover a league that, they're effectively work for?
Right.
And there's all sorts of conflict of interest questions around it. But basically, this is the NFL's world, and we're all living in it. They make up their own rules. Like when they did this about face on gambling, right? Remember, for 20 years, gambling was the scourge of the NFL. Oh, we can't do gambling. You know what I mean? They didn't hire, They didn't sign 1 sponsor. They signed 3. And they called it tri-exclusive. What is a tri-exclusive sponsorship? I've never heard of that.
Well, they wouldn't
just make up the rules.
They wouldn't let Tony Romo have a fantasy football convention here, and now he gets to call the irony of all that he would be the color analyst on the job. This particular week, it really is. I mean, driving around to media night, Monday night. The fact that they literally built a palace to football in the city, on the taboo land and dirt, it's just incredible that this exists now.
Yeah. We just did an interview with Brent Musburger, who had the most amazing stories, getting punched out by Jimmy the Greek and all of that crazy stuff in the 70s. But you remember back in 1975, Rob, when you and I were watching the NFL Today, they had a speaking code.
Yes, it was Jimmy the Greek talking about the over and unders. Well, I like them not to score much today. And I'm 8, 9, 10 years old listening to the code. Like, are they going to win? What exactly does that mean? Because everybody's happy and they lost, but they're talking lines with Phyllis George way back then.
What happened is Rozelle went to the Greek and Musburger, their producer, said, I do not want you to quote the point spreads. Now, when the NFL commissioner is asking you a favor, you do it, right? So they had to come up with another way to do it. So what would happen is, Brent would say, hey, Greek, what do you think of the Redskins Cowboys? And, he would say, I think it's going to be 33-21. And now if the spread was 5 points, you know who the Greek is picking. And it's laughable now, when you see these point spreads scrolling across the bottom of ESPN. But that's the way it was back then.
We had another writer on with The Athletic talking a little bit about, I'm not saying that the NFL is being duplicitous, and Goodell in particular, but we do know what he said and what he's saying now. Right. And a question was asked, obviously we're able to, and we hear a lot about the players who are gambling inappropriately in the wrong places and things like that, but we don't hear about coaches and administrators and staff that have gotten in trouble as well. And he mentioned a number of 25 players or staff members that have been disciplined. I don't know how we take that from there. Is that someplace that we should really be paying a little bit more attention to as far as transparency from the league?
My ears are open this week. Joe Buck said he's not coming to Las Vegas this week, and he said the reason is something's going to happen. He says it's Vegas. Something's going to happen. Somebody's going to get caught doing something. Somebody's going to get arrested. Somebody's going to get caught betting. It's going to be, it's just inevitable. And I think it's inevitable that 25 figure is going to go way up by the end of this week.
Super wide-ranging question. But, again, more than everything in this capacity. What is the untapped area of the NFL? I mean, for a corporation that gets every drop out of the orange, so to speak, like what are they not doing that the Premier League's doing? What are they not doing, properly that they're missing? The low-hanging fruit they're not plucking.
Women and kids, which is why the Taylor Swift thing is so lucky.
Well, and Kyle Juszczyk's wife just fell in their laps, right.
I mean, I've talked to various leagues. The NHL is like, good God, why couldn't she date a hockey player? Why does the NFL get this gift from the gods just dropped into their laps? But I also think that, they're making a lot of smart moves to attract kids. You're going to see the first old cast of a Super Bowl in Nickelodeon, the Slime-filled game. And I thought that Disney Toy Story old cast was fantastic. Now, you better believe that Disney's got about 1 million properties that would be perfect for a kids cast. So I think the untapped potential for the NFL are female fans and kids.
And I know the flag football is more about injuries and getting guys just to show up for Orlando, but it does feed that narrative as well, getting the kids involved in the game.
Yeah, particularly young girls. They want young girls playing football. They want them to become football fans. And and Taylor Swift, I've looked at the ratings. She has definitely caused a bump. There's been a Swift effect. There's no doubt about it.
It's really fascinating. I mean, you would think that nothing can elevate the Super Bowl, but I mean, it's really a testament to her individual influence that she's able to do that.
Yeah.
And it lends itself to that narrative that this is all manufactured and fabricated because, my goodness, how perfect. What's our primary market issue? Women and children, women and young girls. Well, how about Swifty showing up to a Kansas City game?
To your point, I mean, the NFL does an incredible job of just taking free content and leaning into it. Everybody joked about the script. Okay, we're just going to make a commercial about the script, and it's going to be all anybody wants to talk about. And so I would not doubt that they lean into the Taylor Swift narrative of it all, even more than they're already doing.
Yeah, they should. You know what I mean? I mean, I think people who are worried about Taylor Swift fans rooting for the NFL, come on. It's supposed to be a game shared by everybody. And, if women are becoming football fans, I think that's great. To me, the NFL is the unofficial religion, and Super Bowl is the unofficial national holiday. So, we should all share it. Enjoy it.
He is Mike McCarthy. You're on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. If you enjoyed this, first of all, like and subscribe to what we're doing right now. But more importantly, make sure you're getting that front office sports delivered to you every day. Because if you're a true sports fan, you got to understand the money behind it, because that is really why things are moving in the ways that they're moving. And FOS is by far the best out there, without hesitation, Mike. Thanks for all that you do for us all year long as a radio host. You provide invaluable information.
Thank you so much, and appreciate the invite.
How often does the Mike McCarthy thing happen?
We're going to lean into that one.
How often do I write?
No. How often do you get the Mike McCarthy thing? Like, you got to get some weird emails and, things from time to time.
Let's say about 10 to 100 a week.
Okay.
Depending on whether the Cowboys win or lose.
Interesting.
If they lost, I get you're the worst game manager of all time. You stink as a coach. They should fire you, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes I even answer them, and that really freaks them out.
Good for you. A pretty good time till the middle of December. October, November, pretty good months for Mike McCarthy.
They're like Mike McCarthy answered me.
Yeah. Well done.
Well, follow him. Make sure you're reading FOS. And as always, Mike, it's always great seeing you at the Super Bowl. It's one of the genuine reasons we love coming down. Have a great week.
Best Bail Bonds, big game coverage live from Las Vegas. Powered by Southern Recipe Small Batch Pork Rinds, Synergenics, and 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.